Here we go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching on the Town with Tanya. As you know, I'm your host. I appreciate you for coming back. Hit the share button, and not because we care about numbers, because we care about people, right? So make sure you share because, as I've coined a phrase, we can save or change a life with information, right? Okay, so today's guest is an actress, a producer, writer, and she's a mental health advocate. Please welcome the founder of Project Blackbird, Alexandra Miles.
Hi,
Hi.
hello, Tanya. Hello, everyone.
How
Thank
are
you so
you?
much for having me. I love
Thank
your
you.
intro music, by the way. I was dancing over here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Young lady hooked me up with that one. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come. I know you're very busy and got 500 things to do, including saving lives and changing lives, which is why we have you here, because we love Project Blackbird. But tell us, can you share like your personal journey? What led you to finding Project Blackbird?
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
it is the organization. It is a very personal one. So yes, I started the organization. Well, originally, what motivated me, I had struggled myself, and the organization started with my own story, but also the story of a young woman that I had met at a treatment center. So back in 2018, I was at an eating disorder treatment center in Los Angeles, and I had met a young woman who I called Blackbird. She had a tattoo of a blackbird,
Oh,
and she
wow.
was very silent. She didn't speak almost a word to anyone, and I was polar opposite. I spoke too much to everybody.
Mhm.
And we came from very different worlds.
Wow.
She is part of the Black community, the faith-based community. I am
Mhm.
South American, faith-based as well, but different
Oh,
faith
okay.
than her. We
Okay.
both actually connected very deeply on a shared experience of shame and silence around mental health in our communities. It was a world where it wasn't as popular, so to speak,
Mhm.
to say
Mhm.
that you struggled with mental health. So
Right.
both of us knew that we were struggling, but our families didn't talk about it. Our friends didn't really talk about it. It was very hush hush.
Right.
It wasn't safe. It wasn't safe to say, I am not okay. Somebody
Right.
would tell you, you know, yes, you are, you're fine. Or, you can get help, but never speak about it outside of the household. It was very shameful.
Right.
And we realized, the two of us, that we both had a very similar experience, and we can't be the only ones. We can't be the only communities out there that are experiencing this, the only individuals out there. And we realized that it's actually very common. There's a lot of people out there that are struggling silently. And
Yes.
so after we became close, we both were an integral part of each other's recovery journey. We were able to share with each other, and then we were able to admit it to ourselves that we were struggling, and heal. And
Mm.
so I created, as a filmmaker, I'm an actor and a filmmaker. So I thought, well, how do I use my passion, my art, to impact, to help? And so I created a narrative film about these two young women, very different worlds, who meet and connect and realize that they're more similar than they could have imagined.
Mm.
And using this film, I then started Project Blackbird, the organization that is
Mhm.
now a touring program that goes to different colleges, different high schools, and different communities. And we screen the film. It's a short film. We screen
Mhm.
the film and we host a panel. And that panel always, it has the original Blackbird, it has myself, and then we
Mhm.
invite a public figure, a different guest. We've had NFL players, we've had actors, singers, artists. We invite someone that might be the hero of a student in that audience. And we all just
Right.
have this honest conversation about how we struggle, and we're human, and that's okay. It's part of the human experience. And ultimately, these programs, we, we, we lead them through an exercise, a journal exercise around mental health, but ultimately
Mhm.
we connect them with resources in the back of the room. We host a resource fair, and then we
Okay.
pay for therapy for a year for every student in that audience. It doesn't
Wow.
matter if you have insurance, if you don't. We want to be, we want to invite a safe space. We want someone, an individual, to know that they have help, whether they can afford it or not. They have at least a year to get them started on that journey.
Thank
And
you.
so that's what we do, and we tour campuses.
Wow, that part is a very amazing, because that's really young people. I saw young people in college who didn't have the proper insurance, so
Yeah.
they got cut off in the midst of antidepressant medication, literally cut off because they
Yeah.
couldn't afford $800. And I was like, what? Don't
Yes.
they have a backup system of therapists who like volunteer and say, okay, if they get cut off, we'll slide in there just to make sure that they don't have
Yeah.
nope,
And it's
nothing.
tough. And to that point, actually, a lot of universities too, they have counselors, they have therapists at the university, and a lot of universities they're wonderful. They provide maybe 5 sessions, 10 sessions. The reality is, one, it's not enough. 10 sessions is
Nope,
not enough. It
nope.
doesn't cover the entire year. It doesn't cover summer break. It doesn't cover winter break.
Yeah.
But the other issue is, when you are really struggling with something, I have actually been told myself, my grad school has a great program. They have 10 sessions of therapy for students. But
Okay.
I went in there on session 1 and I was honest and I said, I have a history of an eating disorder. And I went through treatment. But I want to be honest. Sometimes the thoughts still come up. And right now I'm feeling really anxious. I feel that
Right.
these thoughts are coming up. And I was told, I'm so sorry. We don't deal with eating disorders. You have to
Yeah.
find your own therapist. So I was
Yeah.
let go for being honest, for being vulnerable. So
Yeah.
these students need help. They need this support.
Yes, they absolutely do. And I've seen also at universities, no offense to my universities, because I'm sure there's one or two that's doing something right. So no offense to them. But I've seen firsthand young students who the first thing they do is just prescribe meds and no therapy.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
was like, excuse me, I understand the meds piece, especially if someone is suicidal. I get that. That is a thing.
Right. It could be a
And
piece of the
whatever it's going to
puzzle,
take,
but
right, right. Whatever it's going to take to keep you here right now, okay, I'm with you, whatever.
yeah.
But long term, if you're not talking about it and processing it and putting it
Yes.
in proper places, it's going to not only come back up, but it's going to really come back up. And
100%.
that's when
It's a
like, so
Band-Aid, and
yeah,
it's
yeah. And so you can't just say, here's the meds and just keep prescribing meds. And some of the meds that they were prescribing to people were, as a former drug counselor, I can tell you, should not have been mixed. You don't mix,
yeah.
in my opinion, lithium
Yeah.
and antidepressant. You just don't do it.
Yes. I'm
Maybe I'm
right there
wrong.
with you.
I'm not a doctor, but I did have to know a little bit about what cross actions were what.
Yeah.
And I just don't
Yeah.
think that's appropriate.
And I'm
But
not a
these,
doctor, but I prescribe to what you're saying. I
yeah,
agree with that
yeah,
100%.
yeah. I just think you have to, young people and all people need to learn talking about it.
Yes.
And that's why
Absolutely.
your organization is brilliant, because you partnered with is it NAM? How do I say it? NAM? You partnered
Yeah,
with a few.
we're partnered with NAMI. We're partnered with Maybelline through their Brave Together
Yes,
program, and then
yes,
Talkspace is our third.
yes. And
They're all
Talkspace is the
wonderful.
one with the free therapist.
Yes.
Is that the one?
So
That's
with
brilliant.
Talkspace, we have a wonderful partnership with. They sponsor and support us to help us go on
Okay.
tour, and then we
Okay.
actually turned back to them as an organization, and we said, actually, we love the platform that you have. Can we pay you to give these
Wow.
students therapy? So it's this wonderful synergistic partnership that we have. I personally believe in those guys so much. I mean, just a really, really wonderful, wonderful company, incredible individuals there.
That's amazing. And now, why do you think that mental health and eating disorders have become such a big pressing issue in today's society? I mean, I can guess, but
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, for so many reasons, I have a lot of thoughts on that one.
I know, I know.
One, I do think there's something to explore. You see a lot of rates in the United States that are different than the rest of the world. I don't know what that is. I
Yeah,
won't go into that now, but I think there's something out there entirely. But I think one, mental health struggle lives in silence. And so I think for various reasons, like I spoke to earlier, there are various communities where it has lived in silence for a long time, and this silence and shame is perpetuated generation to generation. We're learning from
yes,
our parents that it's not okay to talk about, and so then we pass that along as well. So you have that piece. You have doctors not asking these communities the right questions because they're writing it off. Well,
Mm.
just because someone from this
Community.
community isn't showing the same symptoms as you typically see in an individual, they're showing, or just because this community doesn't have statistics of eating disorder. So then they must not have an eating disorder. So we're not asking the right questions.
Right.
I also personally think there is something to, you see mental health challenges become more apparent in college. I think that's the first, when you really see a lot of issues arise. And
Yes.
I think that's because you're leaving your community, you're leaving your village where you are accepted no matter what. And you're entering a new space where you try to fit in, you try to be worth it, you try to be connected, you try to be enough.
Yes.
And so I think that's one of the largest reasons in our country that you see so many mental health struggles, is because we're a country of independent individuals, that go off on their own and then try to find where they fit in and belong.
Yes, you hit a lot of them, and there's other ones. Like right now, after the pandemic, there's a whole new level of anxiety and mental health issues going on that probably weren't there before, or how do I say it? That brought them out.
Heightened.
Because somebody like me, I never get depressed. And I've been through everything as a foster kid, but I just don't put that word in my vocabulary. Like there's certain things I just don't get. But after the pandemic, ironically, and my brother's death, those are two things that actually made me for the first time have some type of anxiety. Now I can talk myself down because I did counseling for over 16 years. So I understand
you have the coping.
And I minored in psychology. So I get it. You know what I'm saying? But But
it's there. The feelings are they're real and they're there.
Yeah.
Mine
and
actually got much worse too post pandemic. It's that's a huge topic that I didn't mention. Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
No. Well, I was going to say, whether it's
we're
actually,
excited.
I know we're, because you're saying it exactly, like taking the words right out of my brain. It's whether it is a result of the trauma of the pandemic or COVID itself impacting the body in ways that we don't know, and or both. I mean, but you can tell a significant difference.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, not just that, the fact of we've never had a lockdown since the Spanish flu. I mean, really, not even, I don't think was that wasn't even a lockdown. That was just mask or something, but we haven't had something like that as human beings. So it was a shocker for all of us. And I think after it, a veil lifted for many of us. That's why you see so many traveling, because they're like, we were like put in cages pretty much and couldn't do anything. So just your human psyche alone, which is I think born to be free, to think, to invent, to do things and just reap so many electrons going everywhere.
Yes.
That's what we're supposed to do. But we were stifled and we couldn't do anything. And now that we're out, we're way out. But the problem is now some people it's been so long that they can't even get out of that. Let me stay home and let me go walk to the park today and clear my head. Let me do some yoga. Let me do something. They can't even get past. I've seen people
trauma. I mean, it was, I have a painful face on when you say that, because I just thought of something that I'm almost afraid to say, but I want to say it and be honest. What the pandemic really brought me back to personally was treatment. And treatment can be a really positive space, but it was also a really tough and challenging space for me personally. And I'm hesitant to say it because I think treatment can absolutely be the right space for an individual.
Right.
I actually found it was slightly traumatizing for me. And we laughed about it when the pandemic happened, but it wasn't that funny. I mean, we laughed about it out of pain, but the other young men and women that I was in treatment with, we were like, we just went through this. I was in treatment for 8 months where I didn't leave those doors. I didn't stand up more than 3 times a day. That's a little bit, we would stand up, but you couldn't walk. You weren't allowed to walk around. I was literally in a home for 8 months. I was on lockdown. And there is trauma.
Lockdown in treatment?
In a treatment center.
Oh,
well,
my God.
I mean, that was the treatment center. We quite literally left the treatment center twice a week. Once was a grocery outing that we got for 30 minutes. And the other was a dinner outing. We went to a restaurant and then came home. But outside of that, you don't leave those walls.
Wow.
And there's a reason for that, because we were getting help, but there's also a level of trauma that you experience from that, and habits that you develop from that, and behaviors that you develop. And I don't think the outside world could not possibly know what it's like, not having been there, but it was very traumatizing. And I think very similarly to what you spoke about, you develop an extreme anxiety around that trauma when you come out, because it's a very different world.
It is.
And it's jarring and shocking, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's sort of like being in jail for 25 years, and not that I've ever been in jail, but being in jail for 25 years and then you just get out. Bye.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's
And
a
that,
token.
oh yes.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other community, whole other group that I think is so misunderstood, and that we don't provide enough resources and support to. When you leave those walls and come out into oh my gosh, yes, we could chat for hours.
There are people doing that. So I love that, like, you're taking your initiative, whatever was put on your heart, you're doing what was put on your heart. I see, Prince Map and some other people doing stuff to help prisoners, because they actually did stuff and said, let me change my way and see how I can help other people. So there are people, Quakers, there's people that are maybe very microtic to us in appearance, because we don't see it like every day on the news.
Yeah.
But there are people, and I'm so happy. It makes me, when I think of mental health, that's many things. Many things, from trauma to drama, no mama, too many mama. I mean, we can go on forever what those things.
Oh yeah.
You're just forever. The mind is just going and going and going and going, and there's nothing to slow it down. So when I think of people that do their actual gifts, like yourself, you follow what your spirit guide told you to do, because that is going to help save or change a life, right? You know what I'm saying? That makes me hopeful and make me say, okay, there's little pockets here. We just have, as human beings, and I tell my viewers, if you're listening, that applies to you. If you know you have mental health issues, eating issues, if you know your best friend does, or your husband or your wife or your daughter, these are the kind of programs that you should be watching to figure out, what resource can I use? They have free therapy. Let me see how I can contact that. That's what you need to be watching, instead of all the celebrities and what they're doing, because that ain't going to help you with nothing. I hate to tell you, and maybe inspire you to like be a celebrity or something like that. But you're not going to get a home from that. I'm sorry. You're not going to get life from that. You know what I'm saying?
And I will say, for the celebrities too, because we have them with us. If you are a celebrity, be that role model, speak about how you're struggling too, be human, because these kids are looking up to you. They are looking at you right now. So use that platform and say, look, I'm human, and you can be too.
Yes, it absolutely. And there's no disrespect to my celebrities, because we can utilize them for what I believe the reason why they are part of the 1% that made it and others didn't make it is because they had a mission to do. Some of them don't do it. They just get their money and get out. Others, like the one I've seen in your videos that are doing these, charity things, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. The fame is just a microcosm of what they were brought here to do, in my opinion.
100%, 100%.
So
we talk about it a lot too with the disorder, that it was our struggle so that we could do what we were meant to do, our mission, which was to help someone else, so that they don't have to reach the level that we did. And selfishly, it is incredibly fulfilling to know that at least there's one person that you might be helping in this. And I love what you said also about the different micro issues that people will champion. I think when you do struggle, I think it is, if you're one of those souls that feels fulfilled doing it, if you're one of those souls that feels motivated to do it, I think it is your responsibility to share what you've experienced, to share what you know, because no one else that hasn't, if you haven't experienced it, you don't know. So I think twofold: your responsibility to share, and then your responsibility to listen to what you don't know, to the stories that what you have not experienced, to the stories that you don't know. Listen, because that is life or death to somebody. Just because it might not be to you, it is to somebody else.
Yes. And that's why it's everyone, and on this, when you're trying to help people in any format or form, I always tell people information is key. That's how I
Mhm.
started the show, is because I just felt like, while I also like featuring new artists and new people doing new things, writers, authors, the gist of the show and the idea is that reach one, teach one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So someone's
You're
going to give you a
fabulous.
jewel. They're going to give you a jewel. Are you going to take it? You don't have to take it. Like, so I don't care if 5
Yeah.
million people are watching. I only care because, wow, 5 million
One.
people. And if 1 million are sick and really need help, they might actually get it. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what I get excited about. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's the most,
Absolutely. Even that one, just that one
that's what I'm saying.
individual.
One person at a time. It's not, I don't care about, 5 million views. And you do care, like, part of me, but I care because that means
Because of
5
that
million
one.
eyes on this. I know at least 10 people will be saved today.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we're winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it's
Yeah.
about. It's not about anything else.
Yeah.
I would not, I'd be tricking myself if I said it was.
You
Um,
know, we
mhm.
actually, if I can share quickly a story that
Yeah, of course.
just relates to this a lot. In the very beginning of our tour, we
Mhm.
had back-to-back events at UT Austin.
Okay.
And our first event, we had a bunch of students that came. Our
Mhm.
second event, we didn't have anybody registered. Nobody was coming. This was quite literally, I think, our second event that we ever hosted.
Mhm.
And so we canceled it. We canceled
Okay.
the second event. And then 3 girls walked in, and 3 girls. And these 2 girls come up to us and they say, our roommate, this is the only thing that has gotten her out of bed. It's been so long. She was so excited for this. Can you please show the film? Can you please do this? And
Oh.
so my panelists were already out the door, and I called them back in and I was like, can we do it just for these 3 girls? Let's just do it. And we
Wow.
did. And I will never, I think, I mean, it haunt is the wrong word. I think about this girl all the time. She's
Mhm.
the one. She's the one. And every single time I do an event,
Mhm.
matter how many people show up in this audience. It doesn't matter if it's 2,000 or if it's 2.
Yes.
There's
Yes.
going to be someone. And there always has been. There has always been at least one individual who has come up to me in the back of the room who has told me that they've never told anyone before, but they struggle with X, Y, Z. And that's it. That's what matters.
And that's what, and it's a beautiful feeling when you hear that. I can't explain it to people. You have to, like, be in it, and I'm glad you know that one person, because that one person, now someone else is struggling and she saves them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That domino effect. 100%.
That's it. That's it. And
100%.
we don't even see it. We may not ever see it,
Yeah.
but I've been fortunate enough to see it in other ways. By coincidence or by chance, I got lucky to see some things, and I said, "Wow, you're doing that now?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess we had some effect." So
Yeah.
you don't. It's not right prevalent in your face, but that's okay, because I honestly believe if you're following your gut, which is your spirit guide, I guarantee you it is going to touch someone. And it doesn't matter if it's 10,000 people in the room. If that one person comes up, that may be the one person that goes back and saves 50 more.
Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%.
That's it.
And even if it's not somebody that resonates with what you're saying or has experienced what you're saying, it's
Right.
someone that now understands mental health differently. So now they're
Yes.
looking at their friend differently. They're seeing
Exactly.
another human differently. It's, no matter
And they
what.
can respond differently, because see, you can't
Yes.
help anybody if you don't know nothing.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
In fact, someone may die because you don't know something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Very
And I
much so.
learned this particularly with, am I allowed to say the SUICIDE word? Am I allowed to say that word? Some people are not saying it anymore, and I don't know why, but I'm going to just follow suit, I guess. Follow suit.
You do you.
But I've seen people who literally, because someone didn't know the right thing to say, they're gone. And I know it's their time. So I'm not saying they're someone's fault. I'm just saying, if you know something, when the time comes and you're talking about death or someone offing themselves or hurting someone else, even if you have the information and the tools, you might be able to shift the whole thing.
1,000%. Yeah.
So this is important.
And I think for so many people who are hurting, actually, at the core, I think what many people really want is to be understood.
That's it.
To be accepted and understood. And so if you can even offer them a little bit of that, or I want to understand. I don't, but I want to.
Yes, that's exactly it. So you told me, but I just so everybody knows, what is the mission of Project Blackbird, and how does it differ differentiate itself from other mental health initiatives?
Yeah. So Project Blackbird at its core, our mission is to destigmatize mental health conversation. We specifically reach out to different underserved communities where there's a lot of shame and silence that exists. But we really want to destigmatize that conversation and make it safer to say, I'm not okay, and then connect those individuals with resources for a safer and less overwhelming recovery. And so what makes us really different is we're not a program competing with any other program. We're actually a program to bring together all the mental health community. So we put together, we engage our audiences, we use entertainment, we use narrative film to allow the audience to get lost in these characters so that they can empathize in a very different way. And after they are empathizing with these characters, we bring their heroes to them, along with two individuals, myself and Kendra Williams, the original Blackbird. We're just like the students in the audience. We're not famous. We're not anything, that they might look up to technically as a role model. But they do, because we're just human. We're authentic, and we're like them. And we can all together stand up there and say, say that we're human and connect with them. So we want to encourage connection. But then I think what makes it really special, well, after that, we have a journal prompt. We give this journal prompt out to the audience, and the audience fills it out on the spot. It's all anonymous. And as they exit the event, we have them leave their response behind, and we give them to take home a prior participant's journal response. It's all anonymous. You don't know what they look like, where they come from. You know nothing about them, but you see what they've written as their struggle and a message of hope that they write to both themselves and a future participant. So you hold somebody with you, you connect with a stranger. And then we bring together the mental health community. So we have resources that are specific to them, local, national, college campus resources in the back of the room there to chat with them on the spot. And then we pay for therapy for a year to get them started on their journey. So it really is this holistic approach. We don't try to be anything other than what we are, which is us and our own story. We don't try to be clinicians. I'm not a clinician. I'm not an expert, but I can tell my own story. I can tell you that I might be a little bit like you. I might have those same feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, depression, anxiety. And then sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have it. Sometimes I don't. Where it's not linear. But I can connect in that manner. And then I can connect you with somebody that knows better than I.
Right. And see that I mean, there's something to be said for our doctors and our therapists. Love them. But I really think that the new modality is people want to hear people's stories, real stories, and real challenges and real healing. That sometimes, I can have all my education in the world, my degrees in the world, but it doesn't resonate sometimes. It just doesn't, it doesn't register the same way. So to me, it doesn't matter. I just want to know, have you done this struggle? Or even if you haven't done the struggle, have you lived with someone that does this struggle? Have you helped someone through the struggle? That type of thing. So that's, I just think it's commendable that you were able to see through the light of yourself and turn it into a light for someone else.
Thank you for that. And I'll say to your point also about, do you have a friend? Do you know someone? For anybody who's watching this, any public figure that we have ever approached I have not had a single one say mental health. No, I don't struggle with that. Or I don't know someone who's, every single, I will tell you, everyone that we've reached out to, everybody has connected with it. So if that tells you anything, please know as an individual that you are not alone. I promise.
Nope,
I promise.
Absolutely not. Well, did you know the stats? I found the stat from Harvard. Let's see, Harvard and I want to say Queensway College. Let me see if I can find the actual thing. July 2023. They estimate, according to Harvard, and this, if I could say it right, Queensway. I can't see what I wrote here, but it's you can look it up. You can Google it. July 2023. They say, according to this, half of the world will at some point deal with mental illness by the time they're 72. It makes sense by time 72. Yeah. When I first read it, I was like, wait, half of the world? Wait, what?
I would even guess more.
Yeah, well, by 72, because but think about all the new elements that have been introduced to us as human
Yeah.
beings. The war in Israel, you have,
Yeah.
earthquakes that are
The pandemic.
happening, pandemic, a lot of trafficking going on. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
on. It's like, and don't watch the
Yes.
news, because then you forget.
And we're finally now surveying, and we're finally now having these conversations to allow different communities to be open and vulnerable about their mental health. So that half of the world statistic will likely grow to more, because there's a lot of individuals that were not even probably honest in those survey, in whatever they were, because it's not safe to be yet for everybody.
Right.
So we don't even
Right.
know how large the impact is of mental
No.
health struggle.
No, well, they're saying, I looked at some of the stats and it's crazy. But I was only finding like 2022, 19.8 something percent adults experience mental illness. That's nearly 50 million Americans.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah.
And the WHO said 970 million worldwide. That was 2019. I couldn't get today, literally today's date. But
Yeah.
anxiety, depression, suicide, 700,000. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just from 15 to 29. I mean, and those are
Yeah.
old stats. Imagine now after the pandemic. Like, could you
Yes.
imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
I
it's
think
great.
a point also that a lot of people don't realize is tied into mental health is grief. And a
Mhm.
lot of people, they grieve differently. And I
Mhm.
think it becomes a write-off of, oh, well, I'm just grieving. So it doesn't count as depression. So it doesn't count as anxiety. These symptoms can come about with grief.
Mhm.
And in a lifetime, every individual at some point in time is going to experience grief. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot tied into that.
Yes, no, there is. Well, I'm trying to think. So you answered two of my questions at once. The principles and philosophies. You already told me what that is. So what kind of successes have you had through Project Blackbird? Like, can you share like a particular impactful story?
Yeah. Well, one of them I will say is, as I alluded to or mentioned before, just the
Let me just get rid of this one. Sorry, keep talking. We just froze up there.
oh,
Let's
sorry,
see.
my
That was me.
Wi-Fi might be. Is it a little
Okay,
better
that's
now?
all right.
Okay.
There you go.
One thing is just the audiences in the back of the room. I'm fortunate enough as a founder that I'm very connected directly to who I'm impacting.
Mhm.
I am speaking with these individuals. We did an event with NAMI with Chris Hubbard. He at the time, he's an NFL player who at the time played for the Cleveland Browns. And we did this event, and I had men in the audience who actually, some still are emailing saying how much of an impact that was to see. I mean, their jaws were on the floor seeing
Right.
a man speak about mental health, a football player that they looked up to, speak about
Mhm.
his own depression and speak about his mental health struggle. And so I had one male in my audience who this was amazing. He took a giant stack of our journal prompts, and he said, "I've never journaled before. Is it okay if I take this whole thing?" And my hope is to this day that every night he's still journaling something. But I mean, it was amazing to see that impact. But on the harder side, I carry a lot of the weight of a lot of stories. I have a lot of individuals in the back of the room who have opened up to me about something that they've never spoken out loud before, that they've never shared with an individual before. It's an incredible impact. And as we now offer free therapy, we quite literally launched that initiative last week. So
Oh,
my
wow.
hope is that I will know now and be able to hear some stories of individuals next year who have experienced this full year of therapy. I hope they'll share with me how they've begun their journey and where they are now, and that can still be struggling. I just want to know, what is happening. I want to know that, that process. But that's been incredible, and incredible moments outside of the impact for me. January 2nd, it was a year after we had launched. January 2nd was the date that Maybelline, through their Brave Together program, emailed me and said that they would like to sponsor our program. I fell on the
Wow.
floor and I sobbed. My partner at the time, he literally went to hug me and I fell through his arms on the floor. I thought that I was I had to give all this up because I didn't have any support from anybody. And I got that email and I just like,
that's
it's
amazing.
these little moments that let me know I'm supposed to be doing this and I can't give up. And every time I think I want to give up, there's an individual in the audience that says, thank you so much. This is exactly what I needed. And then I won't stop. I refuse to stop. So, I mean, those little moments are everything.
Yeah, it's amazing, those little moments, because that helps you measure your effectiveness of your programs.
Yeah.
You know, and you say, okay, this is working. I am helping someone. It's a challenge, is when you do charitable work. You know, I ran an organization for 12 years, and it was a challenge, always keeping the board and keeping this and keeping that. It's a lot.
Oh my gosh, it's debilitating. But when you know that, you know, for anyone watching too, the website there, projectblackbirdinc.org. If you go on that website, we have an archives page where we have pictures of some of the journal responses that we've gotten. That's what keeps me going. Those are real students that sat and adults that sat in that audience and wrote responses. So if you ever feel like you need to just be with someone else, see someone else's story, know that you're not alone, take a minute to look at those. It's really powerful. And I have all of my panelists, every event that I do, my panelists and I will always take the stack that we're about to give out and we'll read them ourselves, because we remember that this is not one fun and games. You know, it's not something, yes, it can be fun. Yes, it can be, we have these fun celebrities, but we remember why we're really doing it. And we're doing it for, you know, for Joe, who's sitting in the audience, whoever it is, you know, we're doing it for that one individual in the audience whose life we might be about to change.
Oh, that is amazing. And you're just answering all my questions today, which is great. Remember I said
we're in line.
Right. We are definitely in sync, because everything I want to ask you, you just boom, there it is. But this is great. What have been some of the biggest challenges you may have faced with Project Blackbird?
One, finances. I've never started a company before. I've never run a company before. I had no idea what I was doing, and thank goodness I had no idea, or I don't know that I would go back and do it. It really, it's been really hard. I've lost a lot of sleep. I've had so many days of tears and nothing but tears. So I don't want to pretend for a minute that this is all happy and great. I mean, and I am financially insanely stressed. And there are days where I still think, why did I do this? But I know exactly why. And I'm so happy I did. And I will continue to champion this forever. But it's incredibly difficult financially. And there are so many resources out there. There are foundations, there are grants, there are individuals. But reaching them is really hard. And a lot of them support the organizations that they already know exist. But to start one from the ground up is very challenging. And to get the word out. The other thing, we live in a world where we're all so suspicious for a very good reason. But there are so many companies that I connect with, so many foundations, so many individuals that kind of will poke and prod at certain things. And I'm like, guys, I'm trying to do something really good. For no reason to myself, like I am not getting anything out of this. I really am not. I promise. I really just want to do good. But we live in this world that is rightfully a little bit suspicious of everything. So it's kind of breaking through that wall, you know, helping someone to believe that you really are trying to do something good is a challenge. And then being a leader of an organization, but also struggling and training myself to understand that that's okay, that I can be my own role model, even though I struggle, because I was putting myself down a little bit. I would say, well, you know, you're in this room of executives and you've never started a company and you are, imposter syndrome. And I'll even have my moments where I am struggling with anxiety or food still. Maybe I have a moment before a meeting. And I have to talk myself through, it's okay that you just struggled. You can still get on this meeting. It's even okay to tell the people that you're meeting with, I'm having a moment right now. So sorry if I'm a little bit flustered. It's because I am flustered. That's real. Yes, it's real. And to know that that's okay, but that I can also still be running a highly successful organization all at the same time. And it's become also another mission of mine to be honest about that, because I guarantee there are so many leaders of other organizations that are feeling the exact same way and they haven't been able to admit it. And I want to make it a safer space as a leader to say that I'm not perfect and I struggle. And
there is a group, girl named Danette on LinkedIn. I forgot the name of the group, but I used to be a part of it because I was a executive director of my organization. And so she founded one just for directors to get together and vent and see what issues we were coming up with as nonprofits.
That is awesome.
And it's amazing. It's out of White Plains. Then she did it in the city. But it's still there. If I find it, I'll send
it to you. Will you share it with me?
Great.
Yeah, I would love to join this. That's amazing.
It's great. I mean, you're in a room with a bunch of people just like you with different types of nonprofits. They're all giving people facing the same challenges. And we're like, oh, okay, so it's not me,
That's awesome. What an awesome group to start. Yeah. And because the reality is, and I think people in the nonprofit space realize this too, none of us are in competition. We can help each other. We can bolster each other, help each other up. And when you realize that, I mean, we're so much more powerful when we do it together than when we.
Well, you and I know that, but there's some that really want to be competitive. I'm like, I have nothing to compete with, honey. I got nothing. I got nothing. All I'm doing is giving. I'm not taking anything. I don't want anything. I'm just giving something so that somebody feels empowered. That's it. It's that simple. Yeah. But some people don't believe that it's that simple. They believe that. Are you sure, Alexandra, that's all you're really going to do is help people?
Suspicion.
It's like someone actually got mad at me because I wasn't taking a salary. I was like, it's my choice. First of all,
you're living.
Second of all, you should be happy that I'm not asking you for your money so I can pay myself.
Yes. And my guess is they were probably trying to empower and do all that. But you're right. At the end of the day, it is that individual's choice. If they want to do, we're going to do what we want to do, and that's it. And that is okay.
Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely. It's interesting, but I can understand the challenge. I've heard it from many people who start up, especially smaller new nonprofits, because the big ones, like you said, they're known, they have the billions of dollars coming in, but that's also a whole thing to that, which I won't go into. But that's a whole Okie Dokie Boys Club going on as well. Yeah. And I found that when I did mine, and I said, well, why did they just get $200,000 grant? And I can tell you, I effectively give more than they actually do. They make more, but I give more technically.
And you're like, I need it, but
nope, because it's all a part of their game, and I don't play games. I don't play when it comes to people's lives. I don't play games. Yeah, and I'm okay with not being popular, not being. You don't have to. We were able to help hundreds of kids based on just our community and our friends in Westchester and throughout, different spurts of places.
Yeah, you're amazing what you're doing. Yeah.
It's okay. Incredible. I told you, numbers don't impress me. People impress me, and my community coming together, the restaurant saying, we'll give you food for your event. And, somebody else saying, we'll give you something for the auction. That's impressive to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not like, here's a Mercedes Benz and I don't care about all that stuff.
Because they care about the impact. They're really seeing the impact and where it's going. Yes.
So I appreciate you. But let's see. Well, you just answered that question too. How do you handle the emotional stuff, the emotional toll that comes with this field? Because it is. But I think you answered some of it.
Yeah. And boundaries. I mean, I have actually learned, and I know that's this word, everyone, boundaries, but it is really important. And I've learned to set actually boundaries from myself. I think sometimes I'm my own worst enemy, and I'm the one really that is putting pressure on myself to show up for a million meetings, that is, putting pressure on myself to do all of these things. And I think every day I learn how to set those boundaries a little bit better with myself, and to say, you've done enough today. You've done amazing things today. Like just breathe, just do nothing for a second. Or, it's okay to be overwhelmed, and recognizing what burnout looks like for me. Yes. And when I really need to stop and fuel myself before I put my energy towards others, has been.
And that's what we're teaching people. That's what you're teaching clients. So it's, I mean, we have to learn to apply it for ourselves, right?
Ourselves. Yeah.
I mean, and it sounds crazy to other people that are stuck in this is the way it goes mode. But the truth is, we all as human beings have to learn that breathe, stop what you're doing right now, breathe,
Yeah.
let it out. Okay, let's start over again.
Yeah.
And it's okay. So what? We have a glitch. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Does it really matter?
It's so true.
It's like I have a fantastic person here from Project Blackbird. That's what matters. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and this is actually very personal, but you reminded me of something that just made me giggle. Just because you had a glitch is what you said. And my I had a partner who is now my ex, but we care for each other a lot, and we got along so well. And he used to call it glitching or buffering. I would do this thing where I would just kind of like pause in the middle of my sentence, and he liked it. I mean, that I know to him that was endearing. You know, it was something cute that I did. I buffered, I glitched. So a glitch can be a good thing. Let's glitch every once in a while. Let's not be, perfect. Everyone's like glitching.
All for the glitching. All for the glitching.
Yes.
and I know it sounds corny to some people, but I don't really care. I think I'm getting old because I don't care anymore about what people think. But the truth is, I know the human factor and that we all have our days that are great and we have our days that are like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it to this one. We all have that. And imagine someone who's struggling with mental health or eating on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So now we have to teach them like we teach ourselves. It's okay.
Yeah.
Relax, sit down, have some tea, do some yoga, take a walk, breathe. So what? You missed the meeting. Call them and let them know you were 100%. Struggling.
And I do want to acknowledge too, because this is something that I recently have experienced a lot of as well. Sometimes it doesn't get better in a day. Sometimes it doesn't get better in a week. And I've had a year this year, honestly, where I've had moments where I think in my head, and I've said it out loud, this is never getting better. Right. And then all of a sudden it does. And maybe it's a year later and maybe it's 5 years later, but the reality is it will at some point in time. But I want to empathize with anyone that might be watching this, that it has been stuck for maybe 5 years. That can be real, and that's fair. It can be fair that it's not, but I do know that there is some point that it will get better, and it might be one day getting better and then it gets worse and then it gets better again. Nothing is linear, but if you allow yourself the space that it doesn't have to be tomorrow also that it gets better, it might be a journey, and you can prepare yourself for that, but there are going to be people along the way that will support you too. That help will be there.
That's the part. Yeah, that's the part. And that's the I think one of the keys to getting out of anything that you're going through at the moment is to tell yourself that nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
So
even the good, this too shall pass.
That applies to the bad thing you're going through. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing stays the same ever.
Yeah.
And if you just hone in on that for when you're going through those challenging times, like, all right now I'm feeling really horrible, and I might be feeling this way for 5 minutes, 5 weeks, 5 days, but it can't be forever.
It can't be forever.
Yeah, it can't be forever. So I don't know. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I do too.
So what let me see, what have you learned about the stigma surrounding mental health and eating disorders during your journey?
What I learned specifically around eating disorders is, one, they're all more similar than you can imagine, but also there is not one case that is the same. And what I mean by that is, everyone that I met at that treatment center, everybody that I've met that has struggled with an eating disorder, we all have various things that we really connect on deeply. And typically they revolve around the need for connection, worth, being enough, being too much, being not enough, those kind of themes, belonging. It's this general sense of belonging, and where in our life we've lost it, had it taken away from us, don't feel, there's something deeper. It's never about the food. It's never about the food. There's always something that lies beneath it, but every case is very unique, and eating disorders do not discriminate. Mental health does not discriminate. It impacts everyone. I don't care what you identify with gender-wise, interest wise, what community you come from, the color of your skin, your height, your weight. It does not discriminate. And I think weight is a big one. A lot of people think, oh, well, if you have anorexia, you have to be thin.
Right.
Not at all. If you have anorexia, that means that you don't eat. Not at all. That was my case particularly. I was still eating 3 meals a day and had a very, very severe case of anorexia. So it doesn't look like it does in a textbook. That if you're in a larger body, you can't possibly be bulimic. Right. You can't possibly be anorexic. Not true. Right. All of that is not true. It affects everyone, just everyone. Right. And we need to understand that, especially the practitioners need to understand that, because you need to know what to look out for outside of the physical in order to address the mental.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's, there's a lot of, stereotypes, I guess we call them. I guess we call them stereotypes.
Yeah.
What this looks like and what that looks like and what this looks like. And I tell people, take off all the blinders. Yeah. This is a new world and anything goes. And what's different for you may not be the same for me.
Yes.
But you can rest assured that human beings, they all go through something. That part we can say. Yes. But it may be different. Like, I don't use the word depression, but I'm sure, and especially as African American women, a lot of us get labeled as sassy and blah, blah, blah. And, oh, you're angry and you're this and you're that. And that may be a form of depression.
Anxiety or depression. 100. Right. Yes.
Yeah. And so, but they won't label it like that for some girl that, may look a little different than everybody else. Right. Yeah. And so we have to recognize those things and say, okay, this is not the same for her as it is for her. It is the same, but it isn't the same. Like, we have to give leeway.
Oh yeah.
And have compassion for both sides.
I think of this all the time. Actually, I on the side, I work in the flight industry. And so when I'm at an airport or on a plane, people get very angry and upset, and they throw adult tantrums. And every time somebody lashes out, I always, in my brain, even if they're hurting me, if they're saying something, that's lashing out at me, I'm always thinking, what did they go through this morning? What happened to them last week? What happened in their childhood? I have no idea. I have no idea what is in their heads and their heart. I don't know anything about them. And so I cannot sit here and take this personally. Really, I can't sit here and be even upset that it's happening to them. My heart feels honestly for them, because you have no idea. You just don't know.
And that's how you have to greet people today. I mean, literally, my opinion, I was always taught, treat people like you want to be treated. So it's very rare that I'll come out and on somebody. You have to really be doing something really crazy.
Yeah.
To do that. Because I always think, what was their day like?
Yes.
Did they just come from an abuse situation? Is this woman part of a domestic violence situation? Now she's going to act it out on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what people's situation is. And most of the time we don't care. And technically, okay, you could say it's not your problem. But in slew of what's going on in the world, if we want to try to maintain a more peaceful atmosphere for each other, because then we can all be in harmony, then we have to start thinking that when I walk past this person, let me just give a little smile.
Yeah. It goes a long way.
Just a little one.
It's amazing. Yes. I had somebody to me this past week that I was working with. I walked on, and actually just that, all I did was smile. And she said, I prayed for you and here you came. And I didn't even say anything. It was just a smile. And it wasn't that I was doing anything magical. It was just that that's what she needed in that moment. And I didn't know that, but that's what, it really that goes such a far way.
It does.
We also have this story in the film that we screen, and it's a story about a paper bag, and it's and we talk about, what if everybody has a paper bag, and what if everyone put their problem in that paper bag and put it in a big pile, right? And so what I think of from that is, if you imagine that everybody has this paper bag, it's not a plastic bag. You can't see through it. Right. Everybody has something in that paper bag, and it's paper. You're not ever going to be able to see what's in there, but there's something in there.
Right.
And I don't know that,
That's on your website, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I
I think it
saw it.
might be in our trailer for the
Yeah.
film, but it's a part of the film itself. And it actually, that one came from my mom. My mom used to tell me that as a child, and she would say, do you
Wow.
want to take somebody else's problems? She
Oh,
was like, just remember, everyone has a paper bag. It's not just you. Everyone has one.
wow.
So
That's that. See, I call it a Louis Vuitton bag.
I like your paper bag.
And so
No,
I
no, I
just
know.
say, I said, they're like, what are you doing? I said, I have depression. I put everything in my Louis Vuitton suitcases and I only pull them out when I need them, when I want to look fabulous and work through something. That's it. Other than that, they can stay in the closet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My friend's like, what? I was like, I'm just saying, like, they're heavy. You don't want to carry them around. They look fabulous though. Like they look fabulous, but I don't want to carry those around.
Yep. Oh, and you better believe even the Louis Vuitton bag has like pen stains in there. You have crumpled up gum wrappers in there. Like that Louis Vuitton bag, you open it up, it's not looking pretty all the time.
Yes, absolutely. It's just my fun way because I was working with young people, with adolescents, and you got to be creative with them.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, listen, you want to take that baggage and you want to pack it up, and you pack it up. Don't let everybody else pack it up and have your laundry all out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Go get your laundry, put it in Louis Vuitton, and then pack it up and put it up there nicely in the shelf. And take it out when you need it. And they were like, what? I was like, listen, work with me. I'm working.
You must be the best with kids, honestly. I
love kids.
The absolute best.
I love it. My grandson thinks so. Look, my grandson thinks so. But so I know your time is precious, and excuse me, I'm choking. I appreciate you so much. But I have a few more questions for you. In your opinion, let's see. How can society better support individuals who are struggling with mental health and eating disorders? What can we do?
Well, I think, in so many ways. I think with our youth, first of all, I think we need to address that hurt people.
Yes.
And so I think a lot of humans in general, when they are doing something that is hurtful to society, I think we have to address what is going on beneath it and care for someone. And I think we have to start with children. And I think in general, just from an individual standpoint, I think acknowledging that we don't always understand everybody's struggle, but trying to show our friends and family that we want to understand, even if you haven't experienced something mental health related, just making it a safe space and saying, admitting, maybe it's abuse related, maybe it's trauma related, maybe we have not experienced a trauma ourselves. It's okay to say, I'm not going to pretend that I get it. I don't understand, but I want to be here for you. If and when you're ready to get support, get help, I just want you to know that I'm here to listen. I'm here to help. And I think that's also another thing I've learned just over the past 2 years, actually, that sometimes when a friend or family member tells you something, they want advice, and sometimes they just want you to listen. So maybe even saying, what do you need from me right now? Do you need for me to help? Do you need advice? Do you need support? Or do you just need me to be in here? And I'm here for whatever you need.
I like that. Sometimes people just need an ear. What role do you think that the media and social media is playing in shaping the perceptions of mental health and body image?
Yeah. Huge. I think it plays a huge role. And I think in both a good way and a bad way. I think it has done a lot of damage, but I think it's also doing a lot of help right now. I think it can be used positively.
Like the TikToks are good.
Yes. Yeah. I think that has it's allowed people to see a lot more authenticity.
Yes.
People are becoming famous for being themselves, not for being, just for authenticity. I think it's also allowing young people to connect with different communities, even globally. You're connecting with other countries and seeing that the world is not America, and or the UK and or whatever country you're from. The world is the world, and we're connecting in a different space. And then I think as we bring along the different public figures to speak on the panel on tour, my hope with that is to really show audiences, young people and adults alike, that even the people that you look up to as a celebrity, as a role model in that space, that they have the power to show others their whole self, their whole authentic self, their mental health challenges and struggles. And I think that is a space where social media can be incredibly impactful. And you see it now. I mean, you see their advocates, Selena Gomez last week, there was something a lot with her and $2 million that is now going to support mental health organizations, to support research, all of that. There are so many individuals talking about it right now on social media. And the more the better, the more the merrier. I mean, really, the more celebrities that speak about it, the more we realize how real this is. The more athletes that speak about it, there can't be too many. It can't be oversaturated, because this is just a human experience. So let's everyone share their experience. That's how you know how much it is impacting the world right now. So I think you are starting to see it, in a really big way and in a good way.
Well, how do you think? How do you envision like the landscape of mental health support like evolving in the next like 5 to 10 years? Do you think things will change?
I do. I think going back to the youth again, I have 2 younger sisters, both that are entering college, or one that just entered college, one that is entering right now. And I'm actually seeing, when I hear them and when they tell me how they speak about mental health with their friends, I'm seeing a lot more vulnerability support with the youth. And so I think generationally, when they're able to speak about their struggles with their children, that will impact. So I think just alone, generationally, I think we're going to see a difference and an impact. But I think if we can bring awareness to elementary schools and middle schools and start having conversation there, my dream would be that every kid, it doesn't matter how much, well, we can get into a whole other conversation about this, but I don't think schools should be funded by property, because then you have situations where subsidized housing areas the schools are not getting books, are not getting resources. So then it's an issue, but that's a whole other can of worms. I really would love to see every school we'll start with this country, because that's where we are right now. I would love to see every school in this country, no matter how much funding that school has. I wish that every school could have a counselor that is just a person that checks in with every kiddo in that elementary school. Every kid has a conversation once a week where they can just process what's going on in their world, because you have so much that happens in childhood. We're in our ego development phase in childhood. The world is about us. And so when certain things happen around us, we bottle that in and we think it all has to do with us. And that is where the hurt, I think, begins. And if we could just have a person to talk to about it that is there for us, unbiased, anyways, that's.
Well, I always, here's how I coined it. So when I was running my organization, I said, if we could just get, I consider myself we do the same thing as he does, but if we could just have, I'm just making these people up, Les Brown, what's his name? Les Brown. What's Les' last name? Oh my God, the speaker. Les Brown. Oh my God, really? And Tony Robinson and like an Abraham Hicks. And what's the other guy's name? He passed away. Oh, I loved him. I forgot his name, but all the power positive speakers. If we could all have them come to like a kindergarten forum and speak to that age group every year, to just start right there, because whatever trauma they're experiencing at that moment, these trigger systems we sit into their head of hope right instantly. So no matter what you're going
strongly,
and because I think even though I foster kid abused, a whole lot of things happened, let's say. I think it's because I was hit with someone positive very early that I don't know. I just
that you've reshaped that for yourself.
Yeah, so I didn't stay a victim long. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk about it, I write about it, blah, 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 but I'm not sitting up there, oh, poor me. I don't do that. And I think it's because very young, I was lucky to get someone that just stored certain things in my brain and also held me accountable to my ancestors. Like there's people that died for you. There's people that laid down their life for you so that you could talk or be here or whatever. And with that being said, there's a great bounty on my back to just at least survive and do good and help others in some small way. Doesn't have to be big, but just something because somebody else did it for me.
Yeah. Yes.
And kids need to know that. And at that young age is when you can put the stamp on the head. And now whatever happens, they still have that stamp. And now there will be a few that fall, but a lot of them will say, okay, get back up and you're going to try this race again. You didn't win this one, but you're going to do it again, that type of thing.
Yeah. On that train too, I do think it's important to note, because I think a lot of us in our culture right now, we come from ancestors that died. Right. And that were put through disgusting acts of humanity, so that we could survive. And we survive. And so the mentality I think now with this generation is, how dare I be depressed or anxious? How dare I struggle when I'm going through nothing in comparison? But the reality is that is unfortunately just not how the human brain works. The human brain is so complicated that we're going to struggle no matter what. And so to know that actually your ancestors would want you to get help for the struggle that you're enduring. They would want to love you and champion your worth. I think someone just mentioned you are worth it. And in fact, your ancestors thought you were worth it. That's why they sacrificed so much. You were valuable. So get
and
the
they
help.
wanted you to get the help.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. That's brilliant. That is brilliant, because even my kids say that too. Well, Mom, your time may sound like it's like the worst time, and it was the worst time, but our time may be bad too, and you have to value that too. And I said, you know what? You got a good point. It's a very good point. Just because I don't know, anything, it could be anything. Just because I was an orphan or I was left on the side of the street, whatever, doesn't mean that it's any less tragic.
Trauma's not comparable.
That's right. So pain is not comparable. Right. So if you say that you're having pain, you're having pain.
Yeah. Yes.
That's it. And that's what I'm learning to accept and honor for those who may not have what appears to be doesn't sound as bad, but it's just as bad because that's how they felt. And it really is based on what you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I feel so lucky to be having this conversation with you, to have met you. I mean, you are such an incredible soul.
I am lucky.
You are. And for being so vulnerable and open and just real.
No, we're lucky to have you on. Our viewers are loving it. And I wish I could bring Rich. I think God Spills, I believe that's you. I think that's Rich. I can't tell. But I could have brought you on to ask whatever you wanted to ask, but I couldn't see how to do that. I think I would have to put the link there and you click it. I think
these viewers are awesome. I've been seeing some of these.
Yes, they're on their game today. I see you, Gary, Norma. I see you guys. Thank you. So I know I'm almost done. I'm getting there. So if you could change one thing about how mental health is perceived or treated globally, what would it be?
Okay. This is there's so many things, but what I'm going to say to that is, I think I would like anxiety, depression. I think I would like for it to be seen as more of a symptom than a diagnosis, because it's not something that just identifies you and that is permanent. And I think you find that anxiety comes from so many different things. It could even be that you're experiencing anxiety from coffee.
Yeah,
it might not be trauma,
but, or thyroid disease.
Exactly.
That's big.
Yes, exactly. And so instead of just maybe prescribing a pill that says, well, you are diagnosed with anxiety, that is your disease, so to speak, and so you're going to take this pill. Why don't we figure out where it's coming from first? Why don't we figure out what's the underlying? How do we take care of that? And then if you need an SSRI, okay, if you need something, but seeing it as more of a symptom of something and getting curious, that's what I would like to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that, I mean, and here's the thing about that. Poor foster children, they get prescribed meds ASAP. Like as soon as they just cross an eye, it's like medicine. And you're right. You have to find out what is going on first. And sometimes it is something as simple as, you've been drinking 3 cups of coffee a day, really?
Yeah.
At 16, like, what do you expect to happen? Like, or as simple as, not simple, or something is you're being bullied all the time and no one
Yes.
knows it. So
Yes.
you're walking into this classroom like this all the
Yeah.
time, and it's making you. It does bring your spirit down. So that
Oh,
can mask
1000%.
depression.
Bullying
But
is
yeah,
huge.
but
Yeah.
but if it got addressed, maybe that would go away.
Yeah.
You know, so you're right.
100%.
I think instead of prescribing, first thing should be to do assess.
Yeah. Assess.
Yeah, assess. It's everything. You know,
Absolutely.
find out what could be really going on here. But most people don't want to take the time. They don't usually want to pay. That's what usually happens. So last question. What resources would you recommend the listeners who may need help with mental health or eating disorders? They can go to your site, or what would you recommend?
Yeah. We do have listed on our site, we have a resources page where we have a number of resources. Mental health in general, NAMI does have incredible resources at NAMI. But on our website, we have very specific resources, and we tried to pick out just a few to get started. Whether you're looking for a resource within your own community, whether you're looking for a resource by issue area, we tried to provide, just to make it a little bit less overwhelming, some places to go there. But I know NAMI and NIDA, they have kind of location-based support and help. Where you can
find the one with the therapy. That's the one with the therapy.
NAMI for therapy. Yeah.
That is brilliant. Sure. I looked and clicked around that and was like, wow, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I mean, the therapists were awesome.
I really do like, and I'm not saying this for any kind of, I'm not paid to promote, but I really do. I chose Talkspace as a partner for a reason. Talkspace, to me, the entire team is, I can tell you, they are some of the most genuine, authentic individuals that really, really care about helping. They care so much about what they do. I have found their platform to be a really good space. You get unlimited messaging, and then you also get your actual in-person, or not in-person, sorry, live therapy. So a virtual therapy session, either once or twice, I think it is, a month, depending on what kind of package you do. But then you have the unlimited messaging. And what I like about it is, if you don't connect with your therapist, and I want everyone to be empowered to do this, if you don't connect with your therapist, you pick a different one. You keep going until you find the person you connect with. And I think that's important, because you have to realize in that therapy room too, that the person you're speaking with is also a human. They're not perfect either.
Right.
So
they volunteering their time. Yeah.
Well, they are clinicians. They are they are paid therapists. So they are. They are trained, but they are also human. So you might not connect with the person you're with, and that's okay too. I want someone to feel empowered walking into their therapy session, knowing that, they're allowed to pick again. They're allowed to say, okay, this person's wonderful, but they're not my wonderful fit. And so find the next one. And that's why I like them. But there are so many different resources. I definitely encourage everyone to go on the website, Project Blackbird Inc. We have a resources page that they can find something more specific to what they might be looking for.
Okay, so guys, make sure you check out projectblackbirdinc.org. It's a great site, by the way, and check out the film. Do I call it film short that you made? Is that what that is? What opening, or is it the promo? Okay.
The promo. There's a promo for our organization and for the tour that we do. So that event, there's a promo for that event on the website, but there's also a trailer for the short film that we screened. Those two. The short film comes on. It's part of the event, but it's not the whole event.
I saw it. It's awesome. But also, guys, make sure you check it out. Make sure you share it, please, because I'm telling you, I'm sure somebody out there dealing with some kind of mental illness or eating disorder. That you got to know somebody, and if you don't, they're just hiding, because it's that prevalent right now, and especially with all the, if they watch television, I guarantee you they have some form of anxiety. I mean, if they're on Facebook or social media, definitely have. I mean, I was just telling someone the other day, my phone keeps reminding me when I go to Facebook, oh, you didn't get enough likes today. You didn't get enough this today. You didn't make enough reels. I was like, what? I don't care. So I turned it off because that's just creating
you are enough. You've done enough.
It's
when
just
you
too much.
decide you've done enough, you've done enough.
Yeah. So guys, pay attention to those things. Even your social media can give you anxiety. Be careful. Warning.
Yes.
But so we can find you at the website.
Yes.
And how can we support you? Is there anything you're going on right now that we can support with? Go donate, right?
I will make my humble ask. There's so many different ways to support, and it's not just financially. We do need help financially. So if you have the means, if you are able to donate, $30 is what covers one therapy session for an individual. $30 a month is what will cover them for the entire year. And that's, I can even send you that individual's journal prompt to show you their struggle and what you're going to be helping someone go through. So that is one thing that's on our website. But another thing is, if you know any college campuses, any way into the college campus, we will connect with different schools, public health school, any school at the campus, student affairs, orientation space, student health services. It could be a club on campus. Anyone at a school that you want to bring us to so that we can provide free therapy for those students and this program for those students, we would love to be connected with a university. That would mean a lot. And then any foundations, or any grants, reach out to us, even email us if you have any thoughts or ideas, advice. I am constantly shaping this organization, and I really just want to do good for these students. So any thoughts you have, please reach out.
I will definitely, because I have some, but I'll reach out this week to you. Okay, for sure. And we appreciate you so much for taking the time to come and see us. I helped you way longer than I was supposed to, so I apologize. And you just froze for a minute. Okay, let's see if she comes back.
Oh no,
guys, there you are. Oh, she hit the button by accident. That's okay. We're done anyway. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to come. And I appreciate you. One second. Give me 1 second. Guys, wait. Guys. Oh, my lamp just fell. It is time to go, guys. I apologize, and we will see you next week. All right. Till next week.